She never wanted to be famous. She only wanted peace. But fame found her anyway, and not the kind that brings joy. The kind that burns. It all began one late winter night in Portland. The rain was heavy, the city lights blurred against her apartment window, and in that quiet, 32-year-old Emily Ross was staring at the glowing screen of her phone, watching her world collapse, one notification at a time. First, it was a comment, then a message, then a wave, then a storm. Hundreds of people, strangers, typing words that sliced through her heart. Fake feminist. Attention seeker. Maybe she deserves it. All because Emily had posted one simple video, a heartfelt story about how her company ignored her harassment complaint against a senior coworker. She didn't name anyone. She didn't attack. She only spoke her truth, and yet the internet didn't forgive her for being a woman who dared to speak. Within 24 hours, her post went viral. Within 48 hours, she lost her job. Within 72 hours, she was getting death threats. Emily sat on her floor, her trembling hands scrolling through messages. You should be ashamed. Your career is over. No one will ever hire you. Her mother called, crying. Her friends stopped replying. The walls of her apartment felt smaller each day. She thought of deleting everything, disappearing, maybe moving back to her hometown in Ohio, starting over. But something inside her refused. That small, stubborn voice that once made her stand up to bullies in school whispered again. If you stay silent now, you'll be one of them. That night, Emily didn't cry. She didn't sleep either. She opened her laptop, typed in a new document titled, "The Movement Begins." And that's when everything changed. The birth of digital courage. In the days that followed, Emily began researching. She read stories of other women, young artists, creators, journalists, all victims of online hate. Some had left their dreams behind. Others had vanished entirely. The realization hit her like thunder. They want us to disappear. That's how they win. So she decided she wouldn't just survive, she would fight. She created a small online community called Digital Courage, a safe space where victims of cyberbullying could share their stories anonymously. The first few days, there were only 10 members. By the end of the month, 3000. The Turning Point news platforms began noticing. A journalist from the New York Voice reached out. Emily, your movement is spreading like wildfire. Would you be open to an interview? Her heart pounded. She was terrified. Going public again meant risking more hate. But this time, she wasn't alone. The interview aired on a Friday evening. By Monday morning, her inbox was full again. But this time, it wasn't hate. It was hope. Women from all across the country wrote to her. Thank you for speaking for us. Because of you, I finally told my story. You made me feel less alone. The war of shadows. But courage has a price. For every woman who thanked her, there were 10 more trolls waiting. People mocked her, edited her pictures, made memes. Some even threatened to find her. Emily reported the accounts, but nothing happened. No one cared. Even the platform seemed silent. And that's when she realized, the real enemy wasn't just the abusers. It was the system that allowed them to exist. So, Emily decided to go bigger. She started collaborating with cybersecurity experts, lawyers, and activists. Together they drafted the Online Harassment Accountability Act, a proposed policy aimed to make platforms responsible for reported abuse. The moment she almost gave up one night, after another barrage of threats, Emily broke down. She sat by the window, looking at the cold rain, whispering, maybe it's too much. Maybe I can't do this. Her phone buzzed. A new message. It was from a 14-year-old girl named Sophie. I was going to end my life tonight because of what people said to me online. Then I found your story. You saved me. Emily's tears fell silently. That moment, she knew. This wasn't just her fight anymore. It was every woman's fight. She stood up, wiped her tears, and whispered to herself, I will not stop. Not now. Not ever. The rise of a movement in 6 months. #Digital Courage had over 500,000 members. Her speeches at universities went viral. Celebrities began to join her cause. And slowly, even lawmakers started to notice her impact. What began as a single woman's voice had become a roar echoing across the digital world. Emily wasn't just fighting harassment anymore. She was changing the way the world saw it. But little did she know, Her biggest test was yet to come. The emails wouldn't stop. The messages, the threats, the lies, they all came crashing in like waves against a fragile shore. Emily sat in her small office surrounded by posters that once symbolized hope. Digital courage, speak up, don't fade out, words matter. Now they felt like memories of a war that refused to end. Her movement had grown beyond her imagination. But so had the hate. When you shine a light too bright, shadows grow deeper. A popular influencer, someone with millions of followers, accused her of playing the victim for fame. He called her movement a cult of overreactions. And within hours, the internet turned again. Emily's name trended for the wrong reasons. She stared at the trending hashtags, her heart heavy, her body numb. It was happening all over again. The same storm she thought she'd already survived. She turned off her phone, closed her laptop, and walked outside into the night. The city was cold, her breath visible in the air, her hands shaking as she whispered, "Why do they hate me for trying to protect them?" A stranger passing by recognized her. "Hey, you're that woman from TikTok, right? The anti-harassment lady." Emily forced a weak smile. "Yes." The woman hugged her. "You saved my niece's life. Thank you." That one sentence felt like sunlight breaking through a storm. Emily realized something profound. The hate was loud, but the gratitude was quiet. And sometimes, the quiet mattered more. One morning, Emily opened her inbox and froze. A new email, no subject line, no name, just one chilling sentence. "If you keep talking, you'll regret it." And attached was a photo of her apartment building. Her blood ran cold. She contacted the police, filed a report, but they said, "There's not much we can do unless something happens." That's when she realized how broken the system was. How women had been told to wait until something happens for generations. Emily looked at the officer and said quietly, "That's exactly the problem." That night, she packed a small bag, left her apartment and stayed at a friend's house. But she didn't hide for long. Instead, she decided to face the darkness head-on. She began documenting her experience publicly. Every threat, every email, every ignored report. Her followers rallied behind her. Lawyers volunteered. News outlets picked up her story again. The world was watching. And this time, Emily wasn't afraid. 2 months later, her movement filed a class action lawsuit against one of the largest social media platforms in the world for negligence in protecting users from digital abuse. People said she was insane, that she'd never win, that no one had ever taken on a giant like that and survived. But Emily just smiled and said, "Someone has to be the first." The courtroom was packed. Rows of journalists, activists, victims, and those who had come just to see her fail. The company's lawyers were ruthless. They tried to paint her as unstable, attention-seeking, exaggerating. But when Emily took the stand, something changed. She looked at the jury and said, "You don't know what it feels like to wake up every day wondering if you're safe. Not because of where you live, but because of what you said. The internet was supposed to connect us. Instead, it's been weaponized. That I'm not here to destroy anyone. I'm here to make sure no one else gets destroyed." The room went silent. Even the judge looked moved. Weeks passed. Arguments, hearings, statements. And then the verdict. The court ruled in Emily's favor. The company was ordered to pay damages and implement strict anti-harassment systems within 6 months. Emily didn't celebrate. She cried quietly, not for victory but for relief. Her win became a national story. Major networks interviewed her. Universities invited her to speak about digital safety and emotional justice. But Emily didn't stop there. She founded a nonprofit, offering mental health support, legal aid, and cyber protection for victims of online hate. She turned her trauma into a system of healing, her scars into shields for others. Every week, women and teens joined the project, sharing stories that mirrored hers. A girl who was bullied for her body image. A journalist silenced for her opinions. A mother whose son faced online racism. And Emily listened, really listened, because she knew what it meant to be unheard. 2 years later, at a global conference in Washington, D.C., Emily was invited to give a keynote speech. The hall was filled with leaders, CEOs, and influencers, the very people who once ignored voices like her. She stepped onto the stage, the lights dimmed, the audience waiting. Her voice was calm, but strong. "When I started, I was just one woman shouting into a void. Today, that void is filled with voices. Real people. Real pain. Real courage. The internet didn't break us. We broke the silence. The crowd erupted in applause. The clip went viral across platforms. Ironically, the same ones that once silenced her. It became a global symbol of resilience, viewed by over 80 million people in the first week. Years passed. Emily no longer chased headlines. She spent her mornings tending to a small garden behind her new home, quiet, peaceful, surrounded by the sound of birds. She often received letters from strangers, from survivors, from young girls who found strength in her story. One day she received a message from a user she didn't recognize. It read, "You saved my mother's life. She found hope again because of you." Emily smiled softly, tears glistening in her eyes. She whispered, "That's all I ever wanted." She looked up at the sky, the sun breaking through the clouds, and said quietly, "They tried to destroy me with words, but I rebuilt the world with them." Months later, the United Nations recognized Emily Ross and the Courage Project for outstanding contribution to digital human rights. Her name became synonymous with online justice. But for Emily, the real reward wasn't fame or recognition. It was the quiet messages she received every night. The ones that said, "Because of you, I didn't give up." The world remembered her as the woman who fought online harassment, but those who truly knew her story understood something deeper. She wasn't just fighting trolls or systems. She was fighting for humanity's forgotten kindness. And in that fight, she didn't just win. She changed the internet forever.